already messed up just the starting the split slayer, but okay. You want to know what Mario did? Well, maybe this will show us. Well, that's one thing he did, but who knows if that's what this game is referring to as what Mario did. But yeah, this attack I really do like playing. It has a lot of just creative elements, and it's not afraid to get very experimental at points. As you can see here, there's plot music. Well, I wasn't thinking that could... More luckily that didn't cost much time at all. Cape pumping really requires just kind of a lot of concentration, goodness. Like, I need to be able to hear the cape pumps. It's a lot harder for me when I don't hear them. And also, one thing that makes this hack more tricky than it would be otherwise is that after you complete a level, you lose all the power-ups. But that also makes damage boosting work a lot better, since you don't really need to worry about keeping any power-ups for future levels. Okay, good, that worked. That was a bit risky to just go and try, because I would have just fallen in the pit if that would not have worked. But that was a good level. And I died here in PB, so I'll be saving a lot of time. I have a lot of time to save all throughout the run because I've done a lot of practice of these levels. But it's also gets really hard later on, so we'll see how it goes. And since this slot's going to be going on for a pretty long time, I might be able to even squeeze in a Special World Showcase. That has those levels are the hardest in the game, so it'll be fun to get to show those off. I guess I'll just do this. Wait, no. I wasn't sure if that would even work if I had it like that. Oh, there's even another kid there, apparently. I still don't really have enough space to follow. No! Goodness. Okay, there we go. Oh no. Please don't tell me that's just gonna... You know what? Since... Well... Actually, never mind. I kinda wanna reset, but also... Also, I don't feel like we're doing the first level, so I won't. What I should have done at the beginning here is do like this instead. Like, just go above that. That is a lot faster. It's just annoying if that happens. How did I salvage that? Goodness. It's really punishing if you lose your flight at the wrong time there. Okay, I'll be a bit behind, but that's fine. Oh, I did not wanna... Okay. Good. That should let me get the early cycle. Yeah. Okay. So goodness, that's... Backslide Jinx, that level happened, but even with that I'm still not that much behind and I can save a lot of time later, so can definitely still PB, especially with all the faster strats I found later on in this run. I just need to not die, kinda. Ah. Okay, that level's pretty good. I'll be ahead. At least. No, I don't want to be holding anything when doing this. Wait, but I wasn't holding anything like... Okay, there we go. Just do re-grab there. Ah. Oh, that was not a good place to lose that. Okay, I still was able to make that work. Even though that was unfortunate, it's still not the worst place to lose that. I think I just need to wait on that. Okay. Also gonna lose a little time from getting that, but that's fine. From getting that mushroom. And Tax Paradise. So here you're supposed to get 30 coins so you can spawn a one-up mushroom from one of the blocks. It's what you're supposed to do. Although... if you just bring a shell over here, you can have Yoshi swallow it and it just gets gold really quickly. So it's kind of a nice exploit. To make it a lot more quick than it would be otherwise. Would definitely be a lot... like, just a lot longer thing, because I'll need to go all around the level, and it'd be pretty long. Oh, this is just really tricky to get on this. Okay, there we go. And even after I had a death in the first world, I'm still over a minute ahead, so there is a lot of time to save in the early game. So PP still... I have a pretty good chance of doing that, even though... That's world 1. This world's going pretty well so far. I just wanna rob this. And then I can get a mushroom there. And there's yet another mushroom there. Okay, that level's good. I think the best I've gotten on this is 329, but that's kind of just a level of figuring out the best places to damage boost. Oh, of course that would get me. What's important though is just keeping the mushroom here. And here's the first place where the kind of horror aesthetic of this game kind of kicks in, because you just hear this ominous, this creepy music, and which I'm pretty sure is from Earthbound. I haven't played it myself, but I know a lot about it just from gaming culture. Oh. Oh, let's go! That was good. Had to delay just a bit there, but it worked out. It still worked out somehow. I barely had enough height. This is one where in my PB I didn't know the best routes, so got the fast jump there. I do need to watch out here. Oh no. Okay. Okay, let's go. Yeah, after that was a solid World 2. Had quite a few golds there. So even though, so let me see. So yeah, that was about 10 minutes. So beating that in 18 minutes is pretty good. I've had like a 1630 XD World 2, but this is good. The cliffs are silent. The cliffs are sentient. Okay, I'll just wait on those. There we go. I guess I still have not had a very optimal level there since that's still golding. And enjoy this, like, glitched remix of the water theme. Good! That was a really risky thing to try there, but it worked. I had enough invincibility frames. Sometimes that's just what I do in some of these levels, like, just really rely on those. Oh no, I want this. Who needs an H? Certainly not me. Oh right, the split name for this level is wrong because I realized that there's a faster level you can do at this part because I wasn't aware there was, because Yum Part More Card actually has 3 exits, but I wasn't aware of that exit. That's a bit earlier on in the level there, but so this level turned out to be faster than the Big Boo House, so I go here instead of that level, but I haven't updated my split stoke count for that, so it still says there's one there. Oh. No, please. And a cape. Oh, so I kept that by, Okay. 14. Red team wins. Control's kind of a breather. It's still a bit tricky, but it's an auto-scroller, so I don't have to worry about doing anything to save or lose time. Because there is still a lot I need to watch out for, like that. That could that almost got hit by. Okay. I think it's an amazing flying hammer brother. Honestly, I don't remember exactly. Oh. Okay. From here, I think I can make this jump, but I don't really want to risk it. And I want to have you... Could even try to dupe that block to get another power-up. Good. So he's just a hit there. Oh, that's really all this is. I didn't set that to be up there. And even have a shell for this boss. It doesn't save much time at all because I can just use those, but it means I don't have to go and get one. So that's cool. Oh. That level's good. I was playing this a little while back and I kept dying a lot here, so I'm glad it went better this time. So, sub 30 World 3 is good. But these levels are where the game starts getting quite a bit harder. Good. Okay, I don't need that. Not worth the time. I still think this is only one death so far. I'm way back in World 1, so... This one's going well so far. I just need to keep it up. Okay. And this is a level that I think is pretty challenging coming up. Because it essentially, in a way, it's kind of just an edit of Force Evolution 3, but it kind of makes its own style with how it works, I'd say. Okay. I'm just gonna get this. It's not as fast as the intended strat, but... as the speed strat, but... it's relatively easy, but there's still these jerks, like, just trying to get in my way. Okay. And I don't want to have to deal... like, I can keep that one and use that for this as well by running and de-boosting in a certain way, but it's risky, and if I don't do it correctly, it won't work, so... I'm just not going for that. Okay, I think I'm just gonna get this right here. Okay. Okay, there we go, good. Also have to worry about the B-ring cycles here. Luckily here they're lining up pretty well so far. Okay. I'm still gonna get this. There we go. In my gold split, I think it had a death, but I got the fast strat. I think I just want to wait on this to that. Okay, I did not need to put that switch there. Here with those moles, I really need to be sure to be going down when they launch up, otherwise I'll take a death. I'm gonna take this ultra safely because I had a death loop on this level earlier. Okay. Sprite right at the gold tape, of course. And I also have 15 lives, which is nice because while I haven't had that many deaths so far, I'm expecting to take a lot at the end of the end game. Okay, I'm gonna have to do this carefully. Good. That works. Okay, I need to wait on this. I need to wait on the cycle. I don't need that. Okay. Wait, I forgot to split there. Oh heck. I wanna try keeping this. Good. Having Firefly here will save me a lot of time because I'm gonna be facing Ludwig here, and normally I need to stomp on him 3 times, but with fireballs I can just throw 2 fireballs, then jump in, that'll be enough. That works because they'll like hit. Normally need 12 fireballs to destroy Ludwig if you defeat him with all fireballs, but the fireballs and the stomps share a counter, so so that still increments it by 2 on the jump counter if I throw fireballs, so I could just do a 3rd jump and that'll destroy him. Once again, I forgot to split. That's probably like a 40-40 world. World 4 though. That's good. good. I just want to do this. Oh, that sucks. Video game, please. Okay, I'll still be way ahead. I'll still save time on some of those two splits, even with that death. So that's good. Alright, you can do this. I need to do that, then that. You can totally just rask it there. Always gonna get the H. Hey, I didn't even have to take damage there. I was able to duck under the football there, so that was cool. It's definitely faster to not get this mushroom, but yeah, I'm scared. I want it. I was scared there. It almost went where I was turning around at the wrong time and I didn't get the key into the keyhole, but it still worked out at least. Oh. Wait on that. Hey, Emby, it's good to see you. Thanks for the raid. How'd your stream go? Good. Oh no. Okay. I'm glad you I'm glad your stream is fun. Yeah, this run's going pretty well so far. I've only had 2 deaths, and I'm near the end of World 5 in this game. I had a death in like the 5th level, but since then the run's been going really well. Running comparing my PP though had a pretty solid end game, but the only thing was I didn't know the route super well. So I can still save a lot of time, but I'll need to play well and not die too much to save more time there. But yeah, this hack also modifies how the cloud works, so it's a lot more responsive than in vanilla. I want to say it also does that with the P-Balloon. So that's neat. Thanks for the good luck. Unfortunate. No, I'm not doing this. Oh, come on. Okay. I was about to just try a really bold strat and just run through there with P-Speed, and it could have worked, but it was too risky, especially since I would have had to repeat a pretty long level. Also really like the music in this game. It does a really good job at setting the atmosphere. And this stage is what I'd also say that this game takes a much more dark aesthetic and scary like atmosphere with just the music here and the background. And then there's just kind of a long auto-scroller. But I would say that this auto-scroller does do well at kind of creating a vibe to it. With how there's just a long tunnel with all these fish. Okay, have a good lark. Ah. And then those jumping jacks are chasing me. Thanks for the good luck. Okay, that was still slight gold. Even though I kinda took some sections of it safely there. go. Okay, there's a fish there. Link will know where the fish is. Okay. Okay. And then this is just kind of a strange boo boss, but it's really unique. It's kind of just an auto-scroller where you need to survive. Like, kind of an auto-runner, I'd say, in a way. Oh, please. Okay. Really good Warp 5! And a 52 minute exiting World 5 is really good. I had a practice run just up to World 5 that I did the other day, and it started off really well, but then I lost a lot of time later on, and I was on I beat World 5 in an hour, so I'm doing a lot better than that part of that segment of run. But this is another difficulty spike, I'd say. Okay, good. A death threat wouldn't cost me much time, but that's not how I want to start this off. And along with the difficulty spike, I would also say an ominous spike with the mother music. And it kind of just keeps going up in that regard as this world goes on. Well, I mean, maybe I shouldn't say that. The next level's music is pretty relaxing, I'll say. Well, okay, the aesthetic is still a little scary. Like losing that is. Oh. Come on, I need this. Like, now that I lost this, I kind of want to get this good. Just right here. Okay. Oh, I did not want that to happen. I'm just gonna wait on these. Okay. And here I can just take advantage of the fact that if the boo cloud isn't on the screen, I don't need to worry about it. So I can just keep jumping up and not worry about it. Okay. Good first try. I think I died here pretty late on in my PB, so I can say I'm saving a lot of time. Goodness. I have half mind to make this a 69 exit run with the rest of my time in my raid train shift, since this run's going really well and I started early. So I have about 2 hours and 20 in my shift instead of 2 hours. I don't think I could beat Signal in that time, but still. Oh, come on. Come on. This is... Okay, there we go. That works. Oh no. That wizard is vain. Oh, come on. This is scary. Believe it or not, being small at the end of this level would do that. Okay. The stars of shop shining. Yeah, they have a I guess isn't exactly the... In a cheerful tone, it's not exactly the way to react to that, but still. And especially considering the aesthetic right here. But yeah, these have been kind of segments, like a series of levels, like Phase 1, Phase 2, and now Phase 3, where they share a lot of similar elements, but it gradually gets more distorted. And I hate to say it, but it's gonna get even worse. Oh, that could have been bad. If I said that was right, 40H. Wow. Oh, goodness. "21 lives. Oh, what's this? Where even am I right now? Is this where I go? Wait, that was just... Heck, I think I just got myself turned around. Unless I didn't. Well, I got an H anyway. God, that's silly. I didn't know that that would just lead back there. On the plus side, there's a 1-up checkpoint, so it's actually not a huge deal. Put out there. Oh, wait, no. I still... I'm gonna lose some... Well, I'm actually not sure if I'll lose much time here or not. But I just need to... Oh, there's a P-switch here. I need to go to the right there, I think. That's what I needed to do. What's this? Oh, okay, there's something to the right. I forgot that. Schiefer, Gore, get her ass. Okay, this is a pretty tricky level, so hopefully it goes well. There's a pretty big shortcut in the middle, though. If I can get the timing of a jump correct. No! That was the one I was referring to. That's okay. At least it was pretty early on. Okay. Oh, come on. Well, I guess just... Really? That is a tricky jump. I wonder if you can, if you're small, if you can just do that. By just running. Like, I need to have more momentum there. Like that! First try. Okay, I need to actually wait a little bit here. So that the cycle lines up more favorably here. Well, not here, but in a bit. That should hopefully work well. Yes, good. So if I hurry, I should be able to get this. Okay, yes. That was a good room. And even with 2 deaths, I'm gonna save her a minute. Oh, hey, another cape. That would be really nice if only my power-ups weren't filtered. So that's... I think I'm up to 5 deaths so far. Come on. That was a rather unfortunate cycle there, but it's fine. Oh, God. I don't remember if I died here in PB or not. Apparently I did, considering how much time I'm saving. When I first started writing this, I never thought that it would get to the point where I could beat it in sub 145. But I'm realizing now that I can probably even beat it in sub 130. Because there's still more time to save and a lot of faster strats that I wasn't aware of during my first run of this. Like, Bowser's Castle coming up as a... Well, okay, Bowser's Castle isn't what I'm referring to, but the final level is a room with, is a lot like Vanilla, where it has multiple doors you can enter. Like, pick a path, basically. And I didn't... Okay, pick a path is not the right way to say it either. But I mean, it's like how Bowser's Castle works in Vanilla, where you can choose multiple doors and go to a different room. And I picked the star rooms on both times, I think, in my PB. And it was deathless, but it was still just not that fast. So there's a lot of time to save there. Good. Also, this is a really accurate port of Bowser's Castle on Mario Kart 64 for being on the SNES, so that's impressive. Orb. Oh, wow, it even, like, has it where it does that. Where it doesn't automatically get you to the next level. Oh, heck. Just gonna wait here. Okay. Also, hey, Bowser's Castle. Surely we're just that done with this game. Okay, there's one place I need to watch out at. I'm just gonna scroll the screen, I think, to make sure that I see it. There we go. Goodness, those that platforms seem to like the kind that would be easy to fall on if you're not careful. Okay, goodbye, Shell. Don't really need you. And hey, it's the same thing as in the beginning. You had a strange dream. Maybe that really is what's referred to when for the game name of What Did Mario Do? But now I'm at what I would say is the final two worlds of this, even though that was Bowser's Castle, so you may think it's the end. That's just kind of a mere side detour. Okay. So, this level. Oh. Lining this up is tricky. Oh, good. How are you kidding? I just need to be careful now. How many does this have at this point? I think it's still 5. Oh, come on, let's not make it 6. Oh no. Why did I talk about the death count? That part is just kind of tricky if the platforms don't spawn like you want them to. Good. Oh, did I not wanna... Yeah, I did not wanna do that. Yeah, this game just gets so hard later on. Oh, I am like... Totally just playing a lot more risky. Okay. Woo! Okay, please just keep this time. Oh no. I'm just gonna... I don't like how those platforms respond. Okay. Maybe just 2 cycles to get it. Okay. Good. Oh no. Let's just wait. There we go. Lost some time there, but that's to be expected, honestly, with how this can be. With how this endgame is. At least it didn't take me too many tries, and I didn't fall into that bad of a death loop. But right into that. Okay, I could totally just make it there, but... Okay. I guess I took a death here too. Cause hey, I'm saving that time right back. This is also a pretty cool level. Cause it has a lot like a lot of the levels in the thing. This has a pretty interesting custom sprite. These Urchin reskins that can also home in on you and shoot fire. Well, I guess in this case I would call them like balls of ether, but still. That feels like it would be the most appropriate considering the monochrome visuals. At least of the non-sprite. Well, except those like red blocks. Oh no. Okay, let's just do that. Okay. Right, of course that would happen. Sometimes you just stop holding on to that if it doesn't work correctly. Okay. And I'm just gonna... Oh no. Oh, come on. Oh, what? Goodness. How all these are laid out makes it pretty tricky to avoid these fireballs. Okay. There we go, 17. And another huge time save. Need to wait on this. Enjoy Glitch World. I guess you could say it'd be where I would want to hang out. And here it's just kind of a wait for this time because you need to wait to rise and then lower so that you can just get through the rest of this. I was a little confused the first time I played this because like just automatically going into just a void was pretty eerie. Goodness, my D-pad can be a jerk sometimes. I was accidentally holding to the right there, which, as you can imagine, was kind of punishing. That's okay. No, you're going to get despawned. Oh heck, after this level I'll be heading to the finale of this. Kind of unfortunate that I died there, but it happens. I wonder if you could skip a cycle here. It feels like it would be hard to do, but it might be possible. Yes, I'm not gonna hold hecking like right. So easy to just hold the wrong direction when we're doing this. Oh, I need this. Good. H. Double on H, if you will. Holy moly, that worked. Good. Okay, that's this map done, so we're gonna be heading to the last few levels. And this world actually went really well in PB, except for the final level, which was deathless but was pretty slow. This is what I would say is one of the harder levels here because everything's like... It's like a monochrome background, and it's hard for me to see what's going on, so yeah. Oh, fuck. Okay. What is it? This could be 140. Although, maybe I should not worry about that right now, because this level is brutal. Ah. Okay, I'm gonna keep this. Come on, let's just do this. I know there's another mushroom somewhere. Oh no, it was right there where it was. Oh no, I'm just gonna... Okay. Oh, are you kidding me? Okay. That is the scariest part over. Okay. Oh, what? Okay. Goodness! I think I could probably save a lot of time there if I did that necklace, but hey. Oh, that is a brutal level. You can just be a bit nice to me. Smile. And yeah, these last levels use a lot of one-up checkpoints. Oh no. Where are you? No, not there. Good. So, even if I die at certain points, it's not always that punishing. No, leave me alone. What did I do? I don't know what I did, but I just want you to leave me alone. Oh, yeah, you can just... Yeah, I'm just gonna do that. Okay. And yeah, I don't want to be getting those goals, because... Yeah. I'm intently making sure to hit down and not down right. Okay. If I can just get this level, well, I shouldn't talk about it until I actually get there. This, oh, got split. Oops. Okay, at least I can get big there. Yeah. Oh, come on. Okay, yeah. It was slightly visible there, but there's like acid rising up, so I need to be quick with that section there. Both of them pretty well. Why did I do that? No. Oh goodness, what the heck. That's fine. At least there's a 1-up checkpoint, so I just start from here. Come on. I got this. Oh wait. Oh no. Yeah, that's gonna get me. I don't even have my power up now. Can we please just win this time? Okay. I'm also not taking it as risky since I don't have that. Okay. I should be fine as long as I'm not silly. Why? There's also like a gust of wind. Yeah. Okay. Gotta love that right at the end. Okay. I will say this in-game's kind of more of what I expect when running this. I had an unusually good one in my PB. But if I just do these two rooms well, I can save a whole lot of time, so let's go. But this is the final level. Oh. Not a great start, but that's okay. Okay. Goodbye. Oh, right. Okay. So, let's just make sure to keep this. Okay, that second attempt was good at least. Now this room. So this one is pretty tricky. Don't wanna... I considered just going back and getting a power-up, but no. There is a power-up pretty early on in this room anyway, so there's not really a point. having a Firefly isn't that much more useful. Just... Okay. Good. Take the super safe. Okay, I think I want to use this to have the cycle line up like I want. Yeah, okay! Let's go! Let's finish this. Yeah, this can save a whole lot of time even with having 2 deaths. That's kind of funny. Oh, goodness. No. How? Oh, that sucks. Well... Oh, goodness. What? I need to... Okay. Oh, where are you? Ha! There we go! Did get the sub 140, let's go! I was nervous there at the end after taking that hit. But I did it. Love how my initial spell on that was deathless and this had 2 deaths and I still saved 2 minutes. I don't know, for some reason that part in particular makes my arm hurt when I'm doing that for a long time, but it just kind of makes it sore. But I think it's just because I'm really tense during that section. But I think I'm gonna go get some food, and then my slot on the raid train is still for 43 more minutes, so... So I'll go and I'll also go and check Special World out, but I'll let the credits play out first.